Welcome, confidential listeners, to another entry from our private archives. This is a space for the unspoken, for the deep, dramatic secrets that carry a heavy emotional weight. Tonight's story was sent to me by a man named Malik, a hard-working soul from the vibrant, humid streets of New Orleans, who learned that sometimes the person you hold closest is the one keeping the most dangerous distance. It is a diary of hidden lineages, shadows in the French Quarter, and a doubt that poisons the blood. Titled The Cousin's Debt, the Bloodline Secret that Destroyed Everything. So, close the door, turn down the lights, and listen closely, because the audience for this truth is only you. New Orleans has a way of hiding things in plain sight. The fog off the Mississippi, the crowded jazz halls, and the secrets we keep to survive. I met Aaliyah through a friend from work named Nia. We were grabbing a quick lunch at a small Creole diner when I noticed Nia couldn't stop checking her phone. The screen glowed against her skin as she smiled at private messages, and for a second I felt that familiar sting of being the only one at the table without a reason to smile back. Nia finally looked up and told me her friend Aaliyah had been in her ear all day, begging her to go to a block party near the 7th Ward. I asked Nia, as casually as a man with a hungry heart can, if this friend was single. Nia just grinned and showed me her profile picture. Aaliyah was beautiful. Her hair was a crown of natural curls, and her eyes held a spark that seemed to cut right through the grainy photo. I told her I was interested. Why not? The city is too big to spend every night alone on a porch. Nia didn't wait. She stood us up right there on the sidewalk, under the hanging moss of a nearby oak, and snapped a selfie of us. She sent it off with a voice note telling Aaliyah that I was the one. I felt a bit exposed, like a card being played before the game had even started, but to my surprise, the answer came back instantly. Aaliyah's voice was like velvet over the speaker. She wanted to meet. She wanted us all to go to that party the next night. I went home that evening feeling the first buzz of excitement I'd felt in years, unaware that the rhythm of the city was already shifting against me. The party was in full swing when I arrived, the smell of spicy crawfish and the sound of a brass band filling the humid Tremague air. When I finally saw Aaliyah in person, the streetlights caught the gold in her earrings, and I realized the photo Nia showed me didn't do her justice. She was a vision. We spent the night moving through the crowd like we had known each other in another life. The chemistry was electric, a slow burning heat that made the rest of the world fade into the background. We shared our first kiss behind the vibrant facade of a shotgun house, the distant trumpet solo providing the soundtrack to my heart's undoing. After that, it was all joy. We were inseparable. We spent our weekends wandering the French market and sharing quiet moments on the riverfront. It's like Aaliyah was the piece of New Orleans I'd been missing my whole life. I was floating, blinded by the neon glow of a new romance, never suspecting that the first crack in my paradise was standing right in front of me, waiting for the music to stop. We were at it again the following Saturday, back at the same open-air club under the flickering string lights of the floor. Everything felt right. I had my arm draped over Aaliyah's shoulder, her skin warm against mine, and for a moment, I thought I finally belonged somewhere. But then the atmosphere shifted. A man with skin as dark as midnight and eyes that moved with a cold, calculated precision walked straight up to us. "Who's watching little Andre tonight, Aaliyah? Your sister?" "Yeah, she's been spending a lot of nights over at my place lately. Just wanted to make sure the boy was fed." I felt the air leave my lungs as if I'd been struck. I stood there, paralyzed, looking from him to her. Who was this man? And who was little Andre? When the stranger finally walked away, his heavy boots echoing against the floorboards, the silence he left behind was deafening. I turned to Aaliyah, my voice a ragged whisper. "Who was that, Aaliyah? And what did he mean about a child?" She looked at me with a face that was far too calm, as if she were discussing the weather instead of a life she'd hidden from me. She told me his name was Dante, and little Andre was her 4-year-old son. Dante was the father. The ground beneath my feet felt like it was turning into the soft, treacherous mud of the bayou. She hadn't mentioned a child. She hadn't mentioned an ex who still knew the intimate details of her household. I realized then that while I was falling in love with a woman, I was actually walking into a minefield I wasn't equipped to cross. I spent the next few days in a daze, the fog off the Mississippi mirroring the confusion in my own head. I tried to wrap my mind around it. Aaliyah was a mother, and Dante was a ghost that refused to leave her hallway. But I was already in too deep. I was addicted to the way she looked at me when the sun hit the balcony of her small apartment in the 7th Ward. I told myself I could handle it. But New Orleans is a city where family trees grow thick and twisted. I started noticing things. The way Naya would get quiet when I mentioned Dante, or the look of shared history between Aaliyah and her neighbors. Finally, I sat her down. I needed the full story. That's when she dropped a truth that felt like voodoo pins in my skin. "Aaliyah? I've been hearing things. People talking at the docks. Is it true? Dante, he isn't just your ex, is he?" She didn't blink. She just took a sip of her tea and leaned back. Malik, what does it matter? We were young. My mother and his father are siblings. He's my first cousin. It was just a summer thing that got out of hand. Andre is the only link left." A first cousin? I felt a wave of nausea hit me. She spoke about it with such terrifying naturalness, as if having a child with her own blood was just another piece of local folklore. My God, the person I'm sleeping with carries a secret that defies the very laws of the world I know. How can she look at me with those innocent eyes while her own cousin is still haunting her doorstep? I felt like a stranger in a room where everyone else knew the punchline to a joke I wasn't allowed to hear. The suspicion began to rot my peace, festering like the damp heat of a Louisiana swamp. 3 months had passed, and I was losing myself in her. One Sunday afternoon, right after the church bells finished their tolling, I decided to do something I'd never done. I wanted to surprise Aaliyah. I stopped by a local street vendor to buy a pint of her favorite pralines and a toy truck for Andre, thinking I'd take them for a walk through the French Quarter. I arrived at her small house in the 7th Ward without a word of warning. The gate creaked as I stepped onto the porch, the air smelling of jasmine and a sudden, sharp dread. When I knocked, she didn't answer right away. There was a frantic scuffling inside, a sound that made the hair on my neck stand up. When the door finally opened, Aaliyah looked like she'd seen a ghost. "Surprise, Aaliyah. I thought we could..." My voice died in my throat. The house was tiny, no parlor, just the kitchen leading straight into the bedroom. And there, sprawled across the unmade sheets of the bed where I had slept just 2 nights before, was Dante. He was wearing nothing but a pair of faded denim shorts, his bare chest glistening with the sweat of a midday. Can I know what that is? What the hell is your cousin doing in your bed, Aaliyah? Only 5 minutes away from your son. It's not what you think, Malik. He just came to see Andre. We had a late lunch and he was tired. He's just resting. He's family, Malik. It's not like that. Tired? Taking a nap in your bed while you open the door looking like a criminal? I didn't even enter the house. The pralines felt like lead in my hand as I turned my back on her. I walked away while she chased me to the sidewalk, her voice lost in the sudden roar of a passing motorcycle. He wasn't just resting. He was marking his territory in the bed I thought I had earned. I felt like a fool who had brought a gift to his own execution. I spent the next 3 days haunting the bars of Frenchman Street, trying to drown the image of Dante's bare skin in cheap bourbon. I wanted to hate her. I wanted to pack my things and let the Mississippi wash her name away. But the silence of my apartment was a physical weight, and every corner of my mind was occupied by the way Aaliyah whispered my name in the dark. In New Orleans, they say some spirits don't let you go easily, and Aaliyah had a grip on my soul that felt like a curse. When she finally sent me that audio message, her voice thick with tears and the sound of the evening rain hitting her tin roof, my resolve didn't just bend, it snapped. Malik, please, don't do this to us. I was just being a cousin, helping him out because he had nowhere to rest. You're the man I want. You're the one I'm building a life with. Please come back to me. I met her at City Park, under the shadow of the centuries-old oaks draped in Spanish moss. The air was thick and misty, the kind of night where secrets feel like they belong to the trees. She looked so small, so fragile under the yellow glow of the park lamps. I told myself I was being a man of mercy, but deep down I knew I was just a man who couldn't bear to lose the only warmth he'd ever found. I looked into her eyes and chose to believe the lie. I chose to ignore the cold logic screaming in my head that a man doesn't nap shirtless in his cousin's bed unless the roots of their history are still being watered. I held her tight, the scent of her jasmine perfume mixing with the damp earth, and I promised we'd start over. I didn't know I was just signing up for a second act of a tragedy. 7 months. That's how long we managed to keep the storm at bay. I was working double shifts at the Port of New Orleans, saving every dollar to get us out of that cramped house in the 7th Ward and into a place where Dante's shadow wouldn't reach. I felt like I was finally winning. Then, one evening, as the sun was setting over the Pontchartrain, making the water look like molten copper, Aaliyah dropped a bomb that changed the rhythm of my life forever. She didn't prepare me. She didn't lead up to it. She just sat me down on the porch and told me she was pregnant. She said she had known for days but was terrified the news would break the fragile peace we had built. A baby, Aaliyah, a son of our own. The joy that hit me was blinding. It washed away the memories of Dante, the suspicious naps, and the cousin secret. I became a man possessed by a new purpose. I started painting a spare room in colors of the sea, buying tiny New Orleans Saints jerseys, and telling every dock worker from Treme to Algiers that I was going to be a father. I was euphoric. I was proud. For the first time, I felt like I wasn't just a man in a relationship. I was a man building a dynasty. I looked at Aaliyah's growing belly and saw a clean slate, a chance to bury the past under the weight of a new life. I didn't care about the fallatorio in the neighborhood anymore. I was going to be a dad. The day of the baby shower arrived like a fever, the New Orleans humidity so thick you could almost see it hanging over the backyard. Aaliyah's mother and aunt had turned the garden into a sea of blue and white ribbons. The smell of slow-cooked brisket and sweet tea was everywhere, and for a few hours I was the man of the hour, shaking hands and receiving congratulations from every uncle and deacon in the ward. I was heading toward the back porch to grab more ice when I saw them, Aaliyah's mother and her sister, Dante's mother. They were tucked away behind a thick wall of blooming hibiscus, their heads leaned in close. Something about the stillness of their postures made my blood run cold. I stopped in the shadows of the screen door, my breath held tight in my chest. I just hope this doesn't turn into a mess, sister. Dante is down at the barber shop on Broad Street telling anyone who will listen that this child is his. He swears he never stopped seeing her, even after that Malik fellow moved in. Lord have mercy. If he keeps talking like that, there's gonna be blood on these floorboards. Aaliyah needs to keep that boy quiet before Malik hears the truth. The world didn't just stop, it shattered. The ice in the bucket felt like fire against my skin. Every doubt I had buried, every lie I had swallowed about that nap in the 7th Ward came rushing back like a tidal wave from the Gulf. They knew. The whole family was in on the play. I wasn't the father of a new dynasty. I was just a fool paying for the stage while Dante played the lead in the dark. I didn't think about the guests. I didn't think about the elders or the children playing in the yard. The rage in my chest felt like the pressure of a rising levee about to burst and drown the whole city. I walked out from behind that screen door and into the middle of the party, my heavy work boots trampling over the blue and white ribbons as if they were trash. The music stopped abruptly as I approached the main table where Aaliyah sat, looking like a queen in her lace maternity dress. I didn't whisper. I wanted the whole 7th Ward to hear me. Listen to me, Aaliyah. What kind of circus did I just overhear? Your aunt is back there terrified of a mess because Dante is down at the barbershop bragging to everyone that this baby is actually his. The silence that followed was absolute, broken only by the rhythmic hum of the cicadas in the trees. Aaliyah turned a shade of gray that I'll never forget, her hands trembling so hard she dropped her plate of food onto her lap. You looked me in the eye and swore you were done with that man. You told me he was just taking a nap that Sunday. Did you think I was some kind of idiot, some fool meant to pay your rent and raise your cousin's child while you played me for a ghost? The party turned into a total chaos. Glass shattered on the pavement. Voices began to rise in a chorus of weak excuses. And for a split second, I saw Dante standing in the far corner of the yard, leaning against a cypress tree with that same arrogant, possessive smirk. I lost my mind. I wanted to tear the world down with my bare hands. My parents had to physically grab my arms, dragging me away before I did something that would land me in Angola prison for the rest of my life. I was blinded by a betrayal that felt as old and as deep as the Mississippi itself. I realized then that the heir of the shadows wasn't just a title, it was the dark truth of the life she was carrying inside her. The aftermath was a Cold War that froze the very air in our home. Aaliyah didn't apologize. She retreated into a shell of victimhood, claiming that my outburst had caused her the greatest humiliation of her life. She moved back to her mother's house that same night, leaving me alone in the nursery I had painted with my own hands. I haven't seen her in weeks. She blocked my number, and the only news I get is through Naya, who tells me that Dante is now a permanent fixture on Aaliyah's porch, acting like the king of a castle I built. I have nothing more to say to you, Malik. You showed your true colors in front of my family. Wait for the birth. We'll do the DNA test, and then the lawyers will do the talking. I'm sitting here now, staring at the small pair of sneakers I bought for a boy I might never get to hold. I reek of regret and the bitter taste of doubt. I pray every single night that I was wrong, that my anger was just a mistake and the child is mine. Because despite the betrayal, despite the cousin, despite the lies, I already love that baby. What if the paper says Dante? What if the roots of their blood are stronger than the love I tried to plant? I'm a man living on death row, waiting for a lab result to tell me if my heart can keep beating or if it has to die forever. New Orleans gave me a dream, but the 7th Ward is making me pay for it in blood. And so, Malik's archive remains open, suspended in the thick, humid air of a Louisiana uncertainty. A story that reminds us that sometimes we aren't just falling in love with a person, but with an entire history, one that might already be written in stone. Now I ask you, my confidential listeners, was Malik right to demand the truth in front of everyone, or did his rage cost him the family he worked so hard to build? And if the DNA test comes back and the child is his, could he ever truly look at Aaliyah again without seeing Dante's shadow in the room? If this entry from our private archives touched a nerve, please leave a comment below. Malik is reading, waiting for a sign that he isn't the only one lost in this fog. Give this video a like and share it. Help us bring more secrets out of the dark. Subscribe to our archives and hit the bell for more whispers from the unspoken. Remember, some family trees are better left unclimbed, and some secrets are buried deep for a reason. Stay safe and keep your secrets close. Good night.